If it is to be, it is up to me. Listen, if you watched Maya and the Tree, you recognize Eagle Claw. And your eyeballs are probably exploding from excitement. But if you haven't, what are you doing? Go check it out on Netflix right now. I think currently it's ranking #1 for kids, and it's in the top 10 for overall in Netflix, which is amazing because every single artist that worked on it put their heart and their soul into it, knowing it's going to be something amazing. The director, Jorge, was an absolute gem of a human being. He had this contagious energy where every time you would come out of a meeting with him, you'd be just pumped to do your best work and try and produce the best shot you possibly can. And well, in this video, we're going to be breaking down one of my more challenging shots, challenging body mechanic shots in this show. So strap in and let's hop in. Okay, so this is the sequence we're going to be talking about. We're going to be talking about one of the shots in this sequence. I'm just going to let you watch the whole thing. These are just 4 of the shots I had in that particular week. Out of that sequence, we're going to be talking about this particular shot right here. So this was just first initial thoughts when I saw the Leica and the layout for this shot, which looked nothing like this. I actually have to even move some of the geo and some of the trees and bushes and whatnot in the background to try and match it for what I was going for. So initial thoughts and challenges with the shot. The shot was a little daunting when I first opened it. It included a lot of body mechanic and some constraint magic for the sword. I wasn't sure where to begin. I didn't have too much time to actually dedicate to this shot, so there was a time constraint. Our quota was around 10 to 15 seconds a week. Now that's blocking and spline. Usually when you're in TV, when they give you like a 30-second quota per se, that's blocking, and then you have a week to spline it. So really it's 30 seconds for 2 weeks. For us, it was 10 to 15 seconds a week, sometimes higher depending on the crunch. Oh, this was like during crunch, but we were in crunch for a year. Story for another time. So 10 to 15 seconds a week, but that's included blocking and spline in that week. So really it equaled to 20 to 30 seconds of like a regular quota that you'd see in TV. So we didn't have a lot of time to make these shots the best that they can be, but we put our heart and soul into this show just because even looking at the Leica, even looking at the storyboards, we would watch it and we would try and just get an idea of the whole story, so we're a little bit better prepared when we actually start tackling the shots. Even from Leica, everybody started crying and everybody started laughing, and that's when you knew that this is going to be something special. This is going to be something that people are really going to enjoy. So everybody wanted this to succeed, everybody. So anyways, my biggest fear was I really wanted the shot to look good. The issue was I had very little time, and I knew that going through the process of trying to get the action approved for this whole thing and just right away going into blocking, that's gonna take a few days at least just to get that initial action right. And I didn't have a few days. I had to finish the other 3 shots and then some more for that week. So how I solved a majority of these issues and how I saved myself hours and hours of work was one little ball boy. That's right, I actually used a ball and placed it where Maya started, and I made sure it's around the same size. And I animated the ball going through the action. So I had the ball going like boop, 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 moving here, going on an arc, landing on this tree, and then I even squashed and stretched the ball. So here I would squash the ball, and then for her launch here I would stretch the ball, and so on. And there's a lot of squash and stretching happening in this shot. You guys can see here her legs gonna stretch quite a while just because I didn't have too much time to work with, and I needed her action to register. And unfortunately, this part, I really like this part where she lands on her sword. I guess different frame rates keep making it stick, but she lands on her sword and she pushes herself upward with her sword here, and that part actually kind of gets missed in the render. But anyways, that's how I saved myself hours and hours of work. I did the entire animation with a little sphere, and including the squash and stretch and all the arcs, and I sent that to get approved by my lead, the best lead, Kale Hotchkiss. He approved the action, the sphere action, and after that it was just a piece of cake if the cake was on fire and made out of metal. But still, it made it a lot easier to tackle this shot, because all I had to do then was match Maya the main character, inside where that ball was. And what I did to make the process a little bit easier is I added a texture to the ball, went all the way down here, custom properties, or sorry, viewport display. I clicked on color, and I would just reduce the alpha, and I had it at like, I don't know, like 10%. But then I could actually see where the ball was, and at the same time I could just place Maya. I would place Maya inside of the ball. So here, for example, I would have the ball squished or squashed, and then here the ball would be stretched, and all I had to do was place Maya, make sure that Maya is inside of that sphere. With this method, you know, obviously I didn't come up with this method, this is a known method, but it works really well for big body mechanic shots like this, because everything you animate is essentially a ball. When you learn to animate a ball, you're technically learn to animate everything else, because all the joints, you got to think of them as a ball, they move in an arc, all the hand, the head, the hip, everything is just a sphere. I keep mixing ball and sphere, but I mean sphere. So, but knowing where the ball was, knowing where the sphere was, and where the sphere was going, let me know that where Maya is going, and that really helped coming up with the poses. Because knowing she's going to travel in this arc and landing here at which time allowed me to come up with poses. So then I could easily say, okay, well, she's gonna be like stretched here because the ball is stretched here, and so I'm gonna make her leap off with one foot, be super stretched, float around here a little bit, and then land with the other foot and squash down here, you know? And I could just very easily come up with the poses. If I didn't know the path she was gonna travel, I would have had a really hard time coming up with poses, not knowing how she's gonna lift off here, not knowing how she's gonna land here, and I would have wasted time experimenting with different poses. And then once the poses were done, the blocking almost instantly got approved. I did have to shift some of the geo as mentioned before, but that wasn't a big issue. I just shifted her entire pose to where the new geo was, the new trees, the new background and everything. And it was a lot smoother sailing, as smooth sailing as you could have with animation, because I animated the entire action with a sphere first, and that was approved. So some other things to, of course, always keep in mind is stretching the character to have the action read when you don't have a lot of time. I talk about this a lot in my reaction analyses, I don't know. The other thing is keep in mind arcs. Like if you guys pay attention here to Eagle Claw kind of travels down in an arc, making this sort of motion. And again, you don't see every single frame, but because I stretch the sword and I curve it and I have it follow an arc, it just registers in your head, even though it just happens in 4 frames. There you go. And yeah, that's that. I hope you guys learned something. I hope you've watched it, and I hope you've enjoyed the show, because again, everyone just put their heart and soul into this, and hopefully it bleeds through and hopefully it shows through. And before I leave, I should probably shill out our to animate course that's in the making. It's a Blender animation course that is in the works right now. We're planning to have a Kickstarter for it in December. This is going to take you from a 0 to hero. Or if you're already an animator and you know how to use Maya or other animation software, let's say Max, let's pretend that's Max, not the character, the program. This other package will take you from someone who already knows animation and just teaches you the ways of Blender and how to implement your skills into Blender, showing you the tools, the software, how to use it, and how to animate efficiently. So you don't have to go through the struggle that we did when animating Maya, because in the beginning we had absolutely no training, and that's what initiated the idea for this, because I was learning things a year and a half into production, things that I should have known from the very beginning. So hopefully this course will teach you everything that you could or would want to know when getting started and learning animation in Blender. Anyways, enough shilling. Thank you for watching. Again, I hope you learned something, and I will see you guys in the next video.